There's a power within you. It lifts your life to its highest level. It brings success, companionship, happiness, health, and peace of mind. As you tap into this power, it will respond to you because this power is within you. And that's why spirituality rocks. Welcome. I'm your host. I'm Dr. Janine Burns, and I teach practical spirituality according to the New Thought tradition. And what we do with our show is each week we bring you nationally renowned speakers, authors, and teachers in the field of practical spirituality. Our intention is to inspire you to awaken to the power within you. Our intention is to expand your consciousness and bring you skills for life mastery. And today I have an absolutely fabulous show planned for you. In the studio live, we will have Dr. Alfred Miller, and on Skype, we're going to have the author of Sacred Thinking, Awakening to Your Inner Power. We have with us Jim Lockard. But right now, just a little business, I want you to know that we're filming from Madhouse TV Studios in Long Island, New York. What we have here are affirmation cards for you. On the front, it talks about the TV show, and on the back, there's affirmation. I'd like to read this one to you. It says, I'm divinely guided in all I think, say, and do. Spirit expresses through me as love, and this divine love radiates out and like a magnet draws to me whatever people and circumstances necessary for my peace of mind, greatest self-expression, nourishing relationships, and prosperity in every phase of my life. I wrote these affirmations to empower you. It's a spiritual principle that you give first and then you receive. We're happy to give these to you at no charge. Just send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to Post Office Box 472 in Woodbury, New York. Post Office Box 472, Woodbury, New York. Alrighty then. And for a donation in any amount, we'll send you the CD, Tunes for Transformation. They're affirmations set to music. It was endorsed by Deepak Chopra, who said that they are powerful affirmations in a fresh new way to uplift, inspire, and create positive change. Okay, let's get busy. I'm very excited to introduce my guest to you. Actually, he ordained me back in 1988 when I was, 10 years old. And he is just one of the most amazing, inspirational people you will ever meet. He is an ambassador at large to the International New Thought Alliance. Welcome to Spirituality Rocks, Dr. Alfred Miller.
Well, thank you, Dr. Janine Burns. Janine.
Dr. Miller calls me Janine. I think it's because
and
I'm so...
you know why? You are involved in so many wonderful things until just Janine doesn't explain you. It's like New York. New York is so big, you have to say New York, New York.
Gotcha. Thank you, Dr. Miller. I appreciate that. So tell us, what is an ambassador at large?
Oh, an ambassador at large is somebody who's busy doing things pertaining to the subject. Now, my subject is New Thought, international New Thought. For every country and all over the world, a new way of thinking, a new way of talking, a new way of living. And my job is to explain, is to go and to break the barriers down of old-time stupidity.
Old-time thinking.
Old-time thinking.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead.
That's my job. And I don't do it braggadociously. I go in very simple. I sneak in, and I become one of whatever. Like a lizard becomes the same as whoever, as what he's attached to. And in my own way, I've been very fortunate not to be thrown out or, not to be called a nuisance. I've always been invited to come back.
Oh, of course.
Because new things are much better than old things.
There you go.
And when I present them to a group, it doesn't matter if it's a religious group, if it's a scientific group, if it's an educational group, there's always room for something new.
Always room for something new.
Yes.
You came into the studio today with a book by Dr. Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of a philosophy called Science of Mind.
Right.
And this is a book called Keys to Wisdom.
Yes.
And what's neat about this, there's a bunch of wonderful, powerful quotes. And tell me more about this book you're reading here.
Okay, this is a marvelous book. I've had it for a long time. Whenever I'm going out to speak, I always look at it to see if there's something in here additional that I could use more than what I was going to say. And I look in here and there's so much in here. I said, oh my God.
What'd you find today? Did you just open the book?
Oh, I have a couple of things today, right?
All
and
right.
I mean, they're right up front.
Let's hear.
They're quite simple. And
Let's
I was
do it.
going to ask, could I share it?
Please do.
I can share it. It's a wonderful book by Ernest Holmes.
Right.
And Ernest Holmes has been a great part of my life for more than 50 years now. And I'm here, I would say, representing him, representing his mind, his philosophy, his truth, and his wonderful explanations of life.
Okay.
And this is one.
Want me to read it?
I think so, right up top.
You got it.
Yeah.
Okay, it says, we need a broader outlook on life, even if it tears down a few more idols, breaks up a few more superstitions, casts out a little more hypocrisy, demands a greater charity and beneficence. It's an attempt to reinterpret the universe more directly, more individually, and strange as it may seem, more personally. And the great fundamental laws of life refuse to be used on any basis other than the unity of good. So then this is really talking about having a personal connection to spirit, God, infinite intelligence, and whatever you want to call it.
Yes, to spirit life, because life is spirit and spirit is life.
Well, Ernest Holmes said, God is personal to all whom feel this indwelling presence.
Sure.
Yeah. I see you have a couple of more checked off over here.
Oh, yes. There's some beauties in there.
It says here, there's one mind common to all individual men. It's impossible to depart from this divine mind or to be separated from it, since this mind is everywhere, wherever we are.
Do you know one thing? If the world could know that today, everybody could go to sleep with the doors open at night again. They wouldn't have to close the blinds, fearing who's peeping in. They wouldn't have to worry about what's going on down the street, or their neighbor. There's only one mind, and that mind is divine. That mind is pure. That mind is, when I look at you, I see me. And when I see me, I see myself not only as I am, but as I could be and as I should be. Therefore, I take the next moment or the next time to try to correct myself. Am I thinking right? Am I doing right? Am I in the right position? Otherwise, am I right?
Right.
And if I think about myself being right, I've got to think about you being right.
I got it.
Because we're all one.
We're all one.
There's only one mind, there's only one presence, and there's
One
only
power.
one
Good.
power.
This one, I love this one because this is just going to tie right in to our upcoming guest who wrote the book, Sacred Thinking, Awakening to Your Inner Power.
Okay.
It says if we have a spiritual nature, and if that spiritual nature is rooted deep in the mind of the infinite, then it follows that within us, there's a place that reaches down into the infinite spirit, and the answer to every problem exists even before the problem is put into our mind.
How do you like that?
I love that.
And that's why I don't like to hear bad news over the television, bad news, because it's already happened. So why baptize me with it?
Okay, well, I think though, as spiritual beings, as people who ascribe to live in this awareness of one presence, one power, if we see something on the TV we don't like, we could bless it. We have the power to confer prosperity upon. So
you can't miss it.
Right.
You can't miss it.
And we can hold them in prayer.
Right.
Good.
In fact, in my living days now, at my age, I do more television looking than I look at anything else.
Yeah.
Now, television is the thing that enhances my life.
So you must do a lot of blessing then.
Oh, do I?
Very good. All right, we're going to take a commercial break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to be with Jim Lockard. He's joining us on Skype from Simi Valley over in California. And we're going to talk all about his book, Sacred Awakening, and Awakening to Your Inner Power. So we'll be right back with more of Spirituality Rocks.
Right.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. peacefully, joyfully. I am.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Dow. We have a multidiscipline practice in Melville and Ronkonkoma, New York, and we treat patients with many, many different conditions, from newborns through geriatric patients with numerous different techniques. There's a technique and a type of treatment for every class of patient. We have them all here. Here's my son Thomas, also a doctor of chiropractic, working on one of our patients' cervical spine. This patient has had chronic neck pain for many, many, many years, has been to a multitude of different practitioners with little or no response. And with our specialized techniques, she has improved tremendously and continues to improve on a daily basis. We have two practices, one in Melville and one in Ronkonkoma, New York. We are a multidiscipline chiropractic office. What that means is we have chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, psychologists, all working as a team and a network of outside professionals such as orthopedists and neurologists that we work hand in hand with to help determine what your injuries are and the best way to treat your injuries. I have the great pleasure of having my son in practice with me. We work hand in hand, father and son, to give our patients the best care possible, and a staff which is loving, caring, and you'll never have to wait at all in our office for service. Many times patients come into our office and they have what's called a soft tissue injury. Soft tissue injuries are like scars inside your body. If you've ever been cut on the outside of your body, you get a scar. The same thing happens inside of your body to your muscles and ligaments. So our job is to determine where those are, stretch the muscles, adjust the vertebra back into their correct position, and then refortify the normal structure with exercise. That's what we do best, and I hope someday you'll come see us at one of our two offices. Thank you.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Dr. Janine Burns. I'm excited about today's episode of Spirituality Rocks. We have with us in studio is Dr. Alfred Miller. He's Ambassador at Large of the International New Thought Alliance. And on Skype, we have joining us Jim Lockard. He's the author of Sacred Thinking, Awakening to Your Inner Power. Welcome to Spirituality Rocks, Jim Lockard.
Thank you, Janine. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I'm very excited about your book. What I really like about your book, I think it's a fantastic primer for those who call themselves spiritual but not religious, which, by the way, there are a gazillion of people like that, who want to uncover and develop their divine nature. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think that's really who I aimed the book at, was people that maybe are exploring spirituality and are trying to make the transition either from the old religious model to something new.
And what exactly do you call sacred thinking?
To me, the term, it really refers to being in prayer or being in a place of really thinking at your highest and best as you go through your day? How do I condition myself not to get trapped in the negative kinds of thought patterns or the fear-based stuff that can drag me down and just kind of ruin my experience?
Absolutely. And, we said in the earlier segment, there's so many opportunities. Dr. Miller mentioned TV, but there's also newspapers and just all sorts of scuttlebutt out there. And I love your idea of training yourself to stay in the positive, because it's not like a one-time deal.
No, we didn't get the way we are overnight. It takes a long time for many people to really shift the way we think on a regular basis. The idea of positive thinking is not just having a positive thought or two. It's really learning to be predominantly positive. Nobody's going to do it perfectly, but you want to get to where at least the majority of your thinking is uplifting rather than pulling you down.
And isn't that, I remember years ago attending a seminar, and they talked about the 100 monkey theory, that when your thinking gets more than 51% in the positive, then generally it's going to uplift to like 80% once you can reach that mark.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think it's certain a plateau you hit where instead of going uphill, you're going downhill, and that's kind of easier. In other words, your majority of thinking is where you want it to be. It's much easier to convert the rest. It's the initial part that is a challenge for most people.
Yeah. I read something in your book. I copied it down, and it was on page 142. And you said that you've had countless people tell you, upon hearing New Thought Principles for the first time, that it represented what they've always believed about reality. I think that's, so true for so many people. Because really, New Thought, it's a philosophy, it's a faith, it's a way of life. And I think there's so many people who embody spiritual thinking and don't even know that they're spiritual. What do you say?
Well, I think that's true. And I think the essence of New Thought is realizing that the power is within you. It's not something you have to get from outside. It's something you have to realize from within. And again, we're not taught to do that for the most part in our culture. I wasn't raised to think that way. So when I found New Thought teachings in the form of the Science of Mind in about 1989, it was a revelation for me. But there was also a part of me that really resonated with it. It made sense. It felt right. And that's the kind of response I've gotten from so many people.
Right. In the book, you use the word it for God. Why did you use the word it for God?
Well, I think we want to get, the idea is that God is infinite. God contains all aspects of everything within itself. And therefore, it's not a he or a she. It's something that transcends that. Unfortunately, it is the only word we've got that really works for that. I used it purposefully in order to help people to see that God is beyond the idea of a father in the sky or beyond the idea of a goddess. It's beyond. It includes all of the creative energies, including the masculine and feminine principles.
Exactly. And then throughout the rest of the book, you use the word spirit instead of God. Why did you choose to do that?
Well, I think they can be used interchangeably. I find that in my own work over the years, there are people that come in that God, the term God has some baggage or weight for them. It was referred to for something they would fear or something they wouldn't be comfortable with. So I said, let's not let the word get in the way. We're talking about something so transcendent that no single word can describe it. So pick a word that works for you. And I use spirit in the book as that example.
Right. Now, what I love about the book is that you start us off with, defining our idea of God. And that's actually chapter 2 is called Defining God. And here's a reading I'd like to, a quote. This is fantastic. This is on page 27. And you're talking about our relationship to the one spirit. And you say, what is happening is that the one spirit is having conversations with and relating to itself. You are an individualized aspect of the one spirit rather than an individual. And like the fingers on your hand, which couldn't function if removed from the rest of your hand, you could not function if removed from the divine consciousness. Love it. Please expound on that. Love it.
Well, thank you. Well, I think that's that for me was a big transition from the traditional religious upbringing I had, where God was distant in the sky, kind of overseeing things, where creator and creation were separate. And New Thought teachings, and many other teachings around the world, certainly, including many of the ancient teachings, talk about the idea of oneness, that everything is spirit or God or the creative intelligence unfolding and expressing in a way that allows us to simply be part of that expression, if you will. And that, to me, is the real key. It's a huge change in how you basically understand reality. And that's why just reading through it one time probably isn't going to get it. You've got to sit back and contemplate that idea. What does it mean that I am an aspect of God? You know, if I cut my finger off, it doesn't know it's a finger. It would just lay there. It wouldn't continue to do finger-like things. It's an imperfect analogy because I can't be cut off from spirit.
Right.
I would simply cease to exist, and I can't cease to exist because I already exist. So we're eternal beings arising out of this creative intelligence and taking on these bodies for the period of time we're in this incarnation. And that's a pretty amazing, mystical, and magical concept.
An amazing and powerful, mystical, magical concept. Exactly. Now, what you had said a moment ago, you talked about contemplating and the importance, you can't just read the book in one bite. You need to really think about these principles. And to support that, at the end of each of your chapter, you have spiritual practice. And I really enjoy that, because when you're reading a book such as this, when the author offers you an opportunity to embody and develop what you're reading.
That's wonderful.
It is. It's fantastic. Yeah. And on page 37, it's visualization. I know you're interested in visualization too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So it says here, it tells us to sit quietly, take some deep breaths, and just imagine peace and serenity spreading through your entire being. And, you can visualize yourself maybe on the beach or walking in nature, whatever works for you. But I love you visualize light. Everywhere I'm reading now, Reverend Jim, I'm seeing visualizing light. Because the Bible starts out, let there be light. So light, how do you define light? The energy of spirit becoming you?
Essentially, yeah, I would say we use light as a euphemism for the creative energy that becomes everything. Everything in the universe is made out of one thing. It's made out of energy that shows up in the forms of atoms and photons and all these different particles and waves and all the other kinds of things that science is revealing to us today. If you were, the farthest star in the universe is made of the same things that we are. So I like to say there's one thing happening here, and that is spirit expressing. So what I want to do is bring myself into alignment with that and be the best version of me that I can be, because that not only provides me with a happy life, it also provides me with the capacity to be of service to others.
Exactly. Now, in New Thought, we emphasize thinking. Thinking is the be-all and the end-all, you'd say, Why, tell the viewing audience, you may not be familiar with the principle, why is thinking so important?
Well, our mind or our psychology is the vehicle by which we experience reality. So thinking is the way that we trigger and generate belief systems within our subconscious mind. So I come to believe that, let's say I've come to believe that I'm really not a very good person. I'm a failure. Everything is a struggle, because that's been my experience, but it's also been something that was probably, I was influenced to think that way by people when I was younger or whatever the case may be. We call it our conditioning. As long as that belief is in my subconscious mind, it governs my life. I will tend to see everything through that belief. So what I need to do is change that belief to a more realistic belief, a truer belief, that I have capacity, that I am capable of doing good things, that I'm capable of succeeding. The only way to change that belief is by initiating different patterns of thinking. So I begin to think in a new way, and over time, if I'm thinking that way consistently with emotion and all of that, the belief begins to change. And once the new belief is in place, it becomes automatic for me. So thinking is the causative impulse, you might say, that gives us access to our deeper subconscious.
So that was so beautifully and well put. And I think it's time for a very brief commercial break. When we come back, we'll look more into this idea of thinking in the subconscious mind. So stay tuned for more of Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divine.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divine.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. In the studio with me is Dr. Alfred Miller. He is the ambassador at large of the International New Thought Alliance. And we have on Skype Dr. Jim Lockard. He's the author of Sacred Thinking, Awakening to Your Inner Power. And welcome back to the show, Jim and Dr. Miller.
Yes, glad to be
Thank
here.
you.
You know, before the break, we were talking about thinking and talking about changing the subconscious mind. You said to us that as we change our inner patterns of thinking, that our life would shift. And I like to think that we have a more rewarding, productive, and peaceful life experience.
Sure.
How do we change our thinking? We'll start with you briefly, Dr. Miller, and then we're going to go to Jim. How do we change our thinking?
Well, first of all, thinking takes place at all times.
Right.
I just lifted my hand. I had to think about it before I did it.
Okay.
Whatever we do, we're thinking about it. So if you do something that you didn't like after it was done, you don't do it anymore. You change that idea about what you just did. You never do that again.
Okay, so you're talking about thought substituting.
Sure.
Okay, fine. Okay, and Dr. Jim?
Well, I would agree. And I think there's also some deeper patterns that go on. Sometimes we're thinking under the surface and we're not even realizing that we're doing it. There's a lot of repressed things as we were growing up. I do a lot of work with the concept of the shadow, which is a Carl Jung concept, and the idea that we repress certain elements of ourselves because they just don't seem to work. So maybe as a small child in your home, it wasn't safe to be intelligent, or it wasn't safe to be funny, or to be, outgoing. So you repress those energies, and then later on in life, you forget that you've repressed them, and they keep showing up as negative patterns. So some of the work, I would say thought is the gateway into the subconscious, but there's also the need for deeper work through meditation, through perhaps journaling, through things that will help to bring up the deeper concepts that are going on in the recesses of our mind. And then we become aware of some of these repressed patterns, and we can change our thinking in a way that we didn't know we needed to. So it works on a couple of different levels.
Very good. And in the book,
Yes.
it says, if you pay attention, you will always find that a person's experience mirrors the overall tendencies of his or her thinking. So that speaks to what you just said, that that's another way you could do it. I mean, we could do meditation, like you said, and you can do spiritual study, but you can just even look at your life and see the overall tendencies of your thinking and where it needs to be changed.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. They think life happens, then they think about it. Mm-hmm. But in reality, the thought patterns that you went through before the event occurred determine how you'll respond to it. So we're really laying our groundwork in advance, but we may not become aware of it till after the fact.
Yeah. Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit here. I want to tell you two things that really struck me. And, I said before Dr. Miller ordained me back in 1988. This really struck me. You said, we are individualizations of the one spirit rather than from the one spirit. That's huge. I mean, that was, and believe me, I know these spiritual principles, but just that one sentence really struck me because, you think, well, I got my gifts from God. I'm a really great boat captain because I got my gift from God. No, I am an individualization of God, like a sunbeam is to the sun. I thought that was great, Jim.
Well, thank you. And I think it is important we find ways to trigger our awareness of this oneness concept, because our senses tell us a different story. Our senses tell us that we're all separate and apart, but in reality, everything is happening out of the one thing, and, we need to remind ourselves of that as often as we can.
Wow. Isn't that something? Well, one thing also that I love.
Yes.
I spoke on Father's Day.
Yes.
I spoke of who is the Father of God. Mm-hmm. And who is God's Godfather.
Okay.
And it came to me that in the beginning, even before God was acknowledged or God was known, God was.
Right.
So God was spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And who is God's Godfather? Spirit is God's Father. Because God is everything, Spirit is everything, so there is only one Spirit, there is only one God, and it's the same one.
Exactly.
It's the same one. It exists, and the intelligence that existed with the Spirit. So Spirit and intelligence is God.
And then expresses we are an individualization of the power rather than from.
We are that
Love
channel.
It.
Even
Love it.
The word channel comes up too.
Yeah.
A lot of places I go, people want to be channels. I am a channel. You certainly are, but you're more than a channel. And the word that Jim was speaking of before, it, or you asked the question,
right.
How does it come in? How about in the beginning? God gives us the opportunity to be anything that we want to be and blame him. God said, I am that. So whatever that becomes in our life, you can blame God. So therefore, be sure that that is something good. Be sure that is something good that not only God wants to be, but that's something good that you want to be.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm following that. I think I'm following that, but No, because you know what, Jim? I am so literal, Jim. That's why I'm not sure I follow it. But what I
That's
think
okay.
what I think you're ultimately saying is that we get to choose. We get to choose.
Yeah,
Okay.
certainly,
In our
certainly.
thoughts, we get to choose, and thus our life experience reflects that because God expresses as us.
Precisely. And
Okay.
if everyone
And-
realizes that what you choose, you become responsible for.
Well, you know, there's a whole chapter in the book on making decisions. But you know what I wanted to jump to right now is this one other quote that I thought was genius. Sacred thinking. Sacred thinking is a type of thought discipline that holds the presence of spirit as a constant anchor within the process of thought.
Ooh.
That's just so sweet. It's a type of thought discipline that holds the presence of spirit as a constant
Yes.
anchor within. So just to know that you are living and moving and having your being in this spirit, and that wherever you go and wherever you show up, you're bringing that radiant essence and energy and power. And to know that no matter whatever you walk through, that power is within you. Wherever you go, you always have access to this power. And in terms of wisdom, divine ideas. You speak about that in the book, that we always have whatever ideas we need, and you talk about decisions. Tell us a little more about that, please, Jim, about the decisions.
Well, I think if you look at life as from the inside out, we're always experiencing the world around us according to how we feel and how we think and how we believe. You know, if you've just had a horrible event happen in your life, you could be in the most beautiful surroundings in the world, and you might not be able to appreciate the beauty. The beauty's there, but you can't appreciate it. Well, it's the same thing. If I'm in a great mood, I might be around something other people would say, "Oh, that's awful, that's ugly." I might say, "Oh, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. What are you talking about?" Because my experience of life begins within me. And I think that's incredibly important to understand. So I want to cultivate the best inner landscape that I can cultivate in order to appreciate myself and the world around me better and more completely. That's really what that's about. If everything's one, and if I'm walking down the street knowing that I am the divine expressing as me, everything looks better. Everything feels better. And my experience of life is improved greatly.
Beautiful, beautiful. All righty, we're going to take another brief commercial break. And then when we come back, we're going to have Jim Lockard give us an affirmative prayer that we can focus our conscious on. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divine.
Old Spice body spray will make you feel so powerful to blow your mind right in front of your face. Goodbye. Oh no! It's like you I don't. Power.
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Oh, Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power. It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power! Power!
Try this routine to feel fresh and clean. Pair Charmin Fresh Mates with your Charmin.
Oh, Spice body spray is too powerful to stay in its own commercial. That's right. Power! Old Spice body spray can change a regular smelling man into a man who smells like power!
Now, how is this? Wow, you know what? I actually do feel more powerful.
Potato chips! Power! It's me.
joyfully, joyfully. I am.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Janine Burns, on SpiritualityRocksTV.com. I invite you to check us out on Facebook. Like us on Facebook. Tell your friends about us. If there's anybody you'd like to see on Spirituality Rocks, let us know, and we'll take care of that too. In the coming weeks, we are having, Dennis Merritt Jones is going to be on the show. Dr. Ken Gordon will be back. Harry Morgan Moses. We have Stephen Albert coming up, and Anthony Diaz Jr. We're having Karen Balistrieri with us. So we have a lot of fantastic shows. And you can check us out on YouTube if you want to see some past shows. We've had Edwin Gaines, Dr. Barbara King, James Redfield, Mr. 2020, and the list goes on and on. But right now, I'm very excited to bring back live on Spirituality Rocks Jim Lockard, who is the author of Sacred Thinking, Awakening to Your Inner Power. This book is for you. Let's put the banner up on the screen, please. You can check out Dr. Jim. Tell us your web address.
Okay, well, it's the best one to get me at is right now is just the cslsimi.org. CSL for Center for Spiritual Living, SIMI, SIMI.org, and that can direct you to the other sites.
Okay, great. We did have a banner up on the screen with your CotterConsulting.net / Jim Locke. So we had that on the screen. But people can go to Amazon and pick up this book. If you are endeavoring to strengthen and deepening not only your awareness of spirit, but your spiritual practice, then I suggest you check out this book. Now, there's a chapter in here called The Power to Decide is Yours. And that's really what it's all about. With your conscious mind, we select, we direct, and we choose our thoughts. And one of the most powerful tools that we use in New Thought is called spiritual mind treatment. It's affirmative prayer. We literally treat our mind to a spiritual awareness and understanding. And so I'm going to invite Dr. Jim Lockard off the top of his head to give us a spiritual mind treatment. So what subject would you like to give us an affirmative prayer?
I think let's do one for peace.
Fantastic. And I would invite you, if you would, to speak it in the first person so that everybody in the viewing audience or the listening audience can allow the words to resonate in their own consciousness.
That's what I always do.
You always do that. Awesome. Let's do it.
Okay. So I invite everyone just to take a nice deep breath. And as we go within, let us know the truth together. I believe in spirit and nothing else. That everything in existence and everything beyond existence is spirit unfolding, expressing, evolving, and becoming. I know that I am one with the spirit, I am one with the divine presence, I am one with all good and all energy. As I bring myself into inner alignment with an acceptance of this divine presence within me, I am able to create a space of receptivity to greater good in every area of my life. I now claim the peace that is mine, recognizing that the quality of peace requires the mixture of two other qualities, and those qualities are love and power. I can experience peace when I know love and I feel my own power. I can confront anything in the world from a place of equanimity, poise, and acceptance. So I'm knowing peace on this planet as it begins within each individual. I know that I am bringing peace into my life and allowing it to ripple out in all directions. Whatever may be concerning me or upsetting me is released, and I am able to say yes to a greater good. Spirit is present right here, right now, as me and as all of us, and I accept this truth fully. I'm so grateful for this understanding and this realization in my life. I say yes to it, and I release this word into the creative field that we call mind, knowing it is done unto me as I believe, and so it is. Amen.
So it is. Amen.
And so it is. Yahoo! Wow, that was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, that was wonderful.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Great. So I want to jump back into the book.
Oh, boy.
And what I'd like to look at is that you have on page 80 a whole chapter on affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment. And in the chapter, you talk about, let's see, I'm looking it up here. You talk about, hold on one second. Okay, so in the chapter, you talk to us about affirmative prayer. Could you tell us a little bit more about affirmative prayer, Jim?
Sure. I think the difference between what we call affirmative prayer or treatment and traditional prayer is that traditional prayer, usually you're seeking help or assistance from a deity or a god or a spirit or a saint outside of yourself. When I was a young boy and I was taught to pray, I got down on my knees. I asked God essentially to do something different than God had done yesterday. You know, give me a red wagon or help me pass this test or something like that. I didn't really see that I had to change anything. I just needed to ask for help. Spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, on the other hand, is quite different. All I'm trying to do with this prayer is change my own mind, because I believe the nature of spirit or God is infinite, and therefore everything I could desire already exists as potential, and what I have to do is create a receptive field for it to come into actualization or into being. So I'm trying to align my consciousness to know that this good is mine now. And that good could be a quality, it could be a desire to be more peaceful, more happy, more courageous, whatever it is. It could be for a, kind of a specific outcome. I'd like to, have some more money so there's not too much month at the end of the money or something like that.
Great.
That's
Great.
a good one.
So I want people to check this book out. I want people to buy this book. Go to Amazon, Sacred Thinking, Awakening Your Inner Power. There's so many nuggets. You see all the little blue tabs I have on the side here where I've marked off pages that I just thought that the spiritual food in here was just delicious. Tell us a little bit about your next direction. Where are you going from here?
Well, before I do that, I just want to share that for any of your viewers that order the book through me on Amazon, I'll add in a CD of affirmative prayers that I'll send off with the book for free.
Thank you so much.
They can get that.
Oh my gosh, and can I advertise that through the next weeks?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So
Absolutely.
did you
Just
get
look
that?
for me as the seller, because there's a few people selling it on Amazon.
Okay, so on Amazon.
And my price is the cheapest anyway,
Okay.
so that's the one they'll want to go to.
So if you buy it on Amazon from Jim, you're going to get a CD of affirmations. Fantastic. All righty. So just very briefly, we just have like a minute. Tell us about what's next for you.
Okay, well, I'm leaving the pulpit. I'm leaving the kind of ministry I do, and my wife and I are going to do some writing projects. We're going over to Europe for about 6 months to do writing and to make some connections over there with some spiritual friends we have, and we're going to see what emerges from that. We're really not sure what's going to show up next. We'll continue to do coaching and some consulting and things like that, but new directions. It's time to move on.
Awesome. So you're flying by the seat of spirit, as they say.
That's for sure.
And I really enjoyed speaking with you. It is my desire that you will join us again on Spirituality Rocks and impart more of your wisdom and your joy. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Janine. I'm really appreciative of the good work you're doing in the world.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jim.
And I'm very...
Wasn't that wonderful?
That was wonderful. And I have another wonderful guest today on the show. Joining us via telephone.
Okay.
And is the most wonderful, inspirational, dynamic, energized woman that you're ever going to meet. She got more energy than me, Dr. Miller.
Ooh, more than you?
She got more energy than me. Reverend Sunny Bohm, welcome to Spirituality Rocks.
Hello, Janine. Oh, my gosh. What a compliment that is.
Yes. And
I can hardly imagine somebody with more energy than you have.
Well, I want people to know, those of you who do not know, Sunny is a master life coach, and she actually trains people to be coaches. Now, to check out Sunny, all you need to go is www.sunnybohm, that's SUNNIBOEHME.com. Well, banner is up on the screen right now. Sunny Bohm. Check her out. Now, the book I'm holding in my hand is Diary of a Turkish Wedding. She's also written another book called Mirror Mirror. And let me tell you something. Reading Sunny's book is like being on a sleigh ride in the wintertime. Lots of goings, ups and downs, and all around, and excitement. Sunny, I am so excited about your new book. Tell me about Diary of a Turkish Wedding.
Well, the reason that I wrote the book is because I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East, both in Pakistan and Egypt and other countries, and I ended up marrying a Turk who swore that he wasn't Muslim and didn't follow any of those things. And then I ended up in Turkey in a far eastern, tiny little village of only 22 homes, living with fundamentalist Muslims. And they were wonderful. They treated me fabulously. But of course, being an empowerment trainer that I am, I had to make a choice between totally stepping back and being the observer and honoring the way they lived, because I had no right to hose them down just because I know about women's empowerment, when these women weren't even allowed to watch TV because the men didn't want them to know that there were any other choices in the world.
Wow, that must have been something ended up in that spot. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was quite an experience. And so when the reader reads it, you're totally experiencing what it would be like to be thrust into a completely different kind of culture and have to adjust to what they're doing and the way they live, because there's no other way, because not one of these people spoke any English.
Wow.
And it all had to be sign language from me. But while I was there for a couple of months, the only thing I had to talk to was my diary.
I see. And so that...
Go ahead.
Yeah, and thus came this book and this whole incredible experience that you went through. And my goodness, thank goodness you knew spiritual principles.
Yes, because it kept me sane.
Kept you sane, knowing, yeah. Now, I know you're living in Milwaukee right now, and I want to tell the people about the conference that you'll be speaking at, and that's the Gold Rush Women's Conference. That's in Chicago, and the date is March 13th, 14th, and 15th. So people can just go to goldrushwomensconference.com, and you're speaking there. Tell us what you're speaking about.
On how to get what you want now. And it is the steps to manifestation, how to get really clear about what you want and need in your life now. So because when people say, oh, I want $1 million, I want to win the lottery, they're actually disempowering themselves, because all we really need is what we need this week or next month. And as we increase our belief system in our ability to work in harmony and alignment with divine source, which is the source of all, and we see how every single day, in every single way, the good things that we need come to us easily, we will no longer think that we need to have $1 million or we need to win the lottery to have what we need in our lives. And so it's very empowering to begin to get clear about what do I need right now. And that's when I teach the class, it's not about, dreaming big, huge dreams. It's like about what will make your life better right now.
I love that. Isn't that really what abundance is? Having what you need, when you need it, for as long as you need it.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. So check out Sunny. And also, I'm excited because I'm going to get to see you at that Women's Empowerment Conference. I'm going to be there too.
And you're going to be one of the speakers too. And what are you speaking on?
I'm speaking on relationships. She wants practical spiritual tools to empower your relationship. So she gave me quite a topic. I've already begun researching and preparing my talk. I'm so looking. I went for the first time last year to that conference, and it was amazing.
Wow.
So exciting. And, it per se, it was not a spiritual conference. It was a women's conference. but there was an undertone of spirituality, practical spirituality, like we were saying earlier, where, you know, people live practical spirituality as a way of life, but may not necessarily call themselves spiritual. Now, where else I'm going to see Sonny is on a cruise. We are cruising on Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines to Cozumel, and that is on April 16th. April 16th, and I am so looking forward to that. Are you ready for that trip, Sonny?
I absolutely am. And I think, does that go from the 16th to the 20th?
Exactly.
The 21st. I can't remember.
It's through.
And it starts in Miami.
It's the 20th. It goes Thursday from actually Fort Lauderdale. It sails out of Fort Lauderdale. You can fly into Miami, and it's Thursday we board, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we return to port on Monday. And boy, we have got a program planned. You're actually, I know because I'm on the committee, you're actually giving a presentation, a workshop. And what's that workshop going to be on?
It is the same workshop. It's the How to Get What You Want Now.
Awesome.
That's the one that I'm most famous for. When I did that workshop last month, within 1 week, there were $38,000 worth of money miracles that people experienced. They called me. They sent me emails. One person got a $4,000 check from his boss the next morning. Totally unexpected. He doesn't work on commission. The boss just said, I've seen the improvements around here since you came. I'm giving you this bonus.
Well,
so
it's great.
Many miracles abound.
And, you know, it's true. You just got to shift your thinking and your life shifts. And it's really that simple as you learn to connect and understand that there is this amazing and magnificent essence and power that seeks to express through you. And I just want to mention really quickly your other book, Mirror, Mirror. You can go to Sonny's website, sonnybohm.com, or you can go to Amazon and pick them out. And the other book, I could not even put down Mirror, Mirror. I purchased it at a conference, I think it was last year, and I just read it on the plane, and I read it all the way home, driving in the car service home. Fantastic book, and that talked about your journeys, how you went with a suitcase all through Europe. So check out these books. We have 1 minute left on the show, Sonny, so I just want to thank you so much for joining us on Spirituality Rocks.
Thank you. I always love to be with you and to see you, and I can't wait to see you on the cruise.
All right, a big hug. Thank you, Sonny.
Big hug. Thanks. Bye.
And I just want to remind the viewing audience, they can check us out on YouTube. Also, check us out on Facebook. If there's someone you'd like to see on the show, just let us know, and we'll get in contact with them and see what we can do.
Very good.
Dr. Miller, thank you so much for joining us on Spirit.
My pleasure.
Welcome, and I want to thank you. I know you're retiring,
yes.
moving down to Florida.
Moving down to Florida.
I think how you've been in New Thought, what, about 70 years? Something about that? You've been teaching New Thought?
Yeah, about 65 years.
65 years.
Yes.
Yahoo. Well, I bless you. I praise you. I appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next week, we have another fantastic episode of Spirituality Rocks with Anthony J. Diaz. So join us then, and signing off, knowing that the presence and power of Spirit seeks to express in you, through you, and as you, and you are always divinely guided. So go out there and live a rewarding, productive, and peaceful life experience. All righty. Signing off on Spirituality Rocks.
Rock.